Let's get to Super Wild Card Weekend, guys. What are we
Eh,
talking about here? We've
Super
got how long now? We
wild
haven't even
card
talked about the
weekend.
playoffs yet.
Playoffs.
Playoffs,
Gross.
starting on Saturday at 3:30. We've got this is reserved for the Texans
Again.
at all
Yep.
times. The
VIP.
Chargers head into Houston, where the Texans are 2.5 point dogs.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Surprised that's not a bigger line, honestly, because the Texans look like shit.
the
See,
defense is
Tommy
good.
Tommy thinks the
Dude,
absolute opposite. He thinks
yeah, I'm kind
they
of
should be
appalled that the Texans
favorites.
are home underdogs right now. I'm really appalled. Like I get, we talked about like strength of schedule earlier today. And I think the Chargers definitely are playing they're a hotter team right now. I think they've lost one of their last six or one of their last seven or something like that. They're definitely the hotter team, but the Texans are a division champ. And I think being at home as a division champ should at least get you like as a 1 point favorite or a 2 point favorite. I think like because in reality
Do you
you get 3 points as for being the home team in the NFL. So in reality, this is really like a 5 point spread if you really think about it. 5 to 6 point spread. Because
they're a
not only
division champ, but look at their division. It's straight ass.
who cares? It's the
Yeah.
NFL. Everybody gets paid to play. Winning a division is not easy. I don't care who the hell you are.
This guy says that almost every week. But
Yeah, because you
look at
forget
the
about it
Would
for
division.
some
assume it's
reason.
They are
eerie.
bad. It's the lowest
Just
record
because they
for
won their division doesn't mean they're
division
good.
winner.
I'm not
The
saying they're the
Chargers are a
greatest
more
fucking team ever,
well-rounded
but they're
team.
not bad. They won a division in the NFL, dude. Like,
The
come on.
Chargers are a more well-rounded team. The best part about the Texans is their defense and their pass rush. I feel like they have some good DBs, but the Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. are like the best part of their team. CJ Stroud has sucked this year. The offensive line isn't great. Joe Mixon is kind of the best part of their offense,
And he's a
especially
hit or
since
miss
they've
every single
had
game.
Well,
especially
I just
since
think
they've
too.
had injuries to their wide receiver core.
I
You
think the
know,
Texans are better in these games when people think they are not going to fucking win. I
I
also
think the
I,
Kind
I
of like the
agree with
Ravens
that
game
too.
on Christmas.
Huh?
Kind of like the Ravens game on Christmas.
What are you talking about? I'm talking
You
about
just said
playoffs. I'm talking about a fucking playoff game, Sean. All right, stop living
the
in the
Ravens are a
past.
playoff team. It's a
yeah.
good measuring stick for a playoff game.
I'm talking about in the playoffs when no one thinks the Texans can win, they usually end up winning.
No, they
I mean,
don't.
they've had one playoff win in the past six appearances.
And no one thought they'd win.
They thought they
So
would in last year.
I don't. I'm
And no
not
one
getting
thought
the
they'd win.
argument there because we've played them a lot of times. We've played them a lot of times and we've kicked their ass. Like there's one game where we had to come back a lot, but when Deshaun Watson was over there, we beat him.
When
We
no
beat
one
him
thought they
multiple
could win.
times. Like we beat
I
him
mean, they
three
didn't win, but it
times.
was close. I just like 2.5. I feel like it's kind of like I feel like the Tex. I'm not saying the Texans can win, but 2.5 at home, division winner. Come on, man. That's and two like as a Texan seeing that like you're probably jacked the fuck up for this game to beat the shit out of the Chargers. Like that's fuel. That is fuel, without
It.
a doubt.
I mean,
But keep getting buried in your stats and shit like that.
it would make a whole
Well,
lot of sense to me for the Chargers to fuck this game away. The Chargers are going to charger.
they no
But
longer have Brandon Staley.
they yeah they I mean the offense is playing much better than the Texans offense. They're much more well-rounded team in my opinion because they also have a decent defense
They're also much
with good
more
pass rush.
healthy. They're also
But
much more healthy.
It's the end of the year.
this is the
No one's
craziest
healthy.
matchup though. We have an unproven guy in the playoffs in Justin Herbert and a proven guy that's 1-1 in the playoffs in CJ Stroud.
You
Does
also
Who's
have
little
a
boy
proven.
rookie quarterbacks and
yeah.
also playing like
Take this into
garbage.
consideration too, Sean. You also have a proven head coach versus an unproven head coach. A head coach who is 1-1 in the playoffs, but a head coach for the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, who's gone to the Super Bowl with previous teams. So he's proven in the playoffs.
I mean, is D'Amico Ryan's not? He's 1-1. Like
I would say no.
I
Not
also don't think
proven in
that's
the
a fair
playoffs.
assessment because D'Amico Ryan's has been a head coach for 2 years and Jim Harbaugh coached in San
That's
Francisco for
but
how
that's
fucking long?
but that's also exactly the point. You have a veteran coach going up against a head coach who isn't very long in the tooth, And
But he's been
that
there.
is,
But he's been
but that
there.
is
It's not like he's going into
in a
uncharted
totally
territory
different,
here.
it's totally different position being a head coach in the playoffs than it is being a
Yeah,
coordinator
D'Amico Ryans has
in the
been in the
playoffs.
playoffs as a head coach before. That's what I'm saying. This isn't
Once.
uncharted waters for D'Amico
I'm
Ryans.
not
Like
saying
he's
it's uncharted. I'm saying you've got one coach who is a veteran to the playoffs and one who is
Has one
fairly
season
new.
under his belt.
One season. There's a large difference in preparation and getting your players ready for those games. Now, I'm not saying D'Amico Ryans is a bum coach. He's a very good coach. Look at what he's
But you're
able to
saying
do
he doesn't know how to do that because he's only been in 2 playoff games? Like that's stupid.
in comparison.
Mm.
Follow along,
You're
Doug.
comparing an
I
apple
feel
to an
like-
In
orange right now.
comparison.
You're comparing a really old orange to a brand spanking new apple.
He's bringing up a lot of
Exactly.
Raiders emotions, the way he feels about his own team, and he's trying to defend a team like the Texans that
Oh,
you
yeah.
feel like
Look at
nobody
that.
believes in. Nobody believes in
that.
him
There you
this
go.
this
Yep.
wild card weekend.
Yep. Is that all you got? Because your stats fucking suck too. Is that all you got? You're just gonna call me a Raider fan? Oh, he's a Raider fan. Cheers for the little guy. Oh, the little guy. The division winners are the little guy. That's fucking nuts to
You
me.
should-
No,
That's what you're saying, though. You're saying that
Wild.
nobody believes in them to win, and that's like you're trying to stick up for them, and it's cute.
yeah, because like I think more people should be. They're division winners in the NFL, and that is a
Yeah, but it's a
third place
bad
team.
division.
I can't wait till we get to talking about the NFC.
That's cool. And if I gotta eat my words, I'll eat my words. I'm not afraid to do that. I'm not afraid to do that. But if they win,
I
you
think- I
you
mean, I
better
think
get
this
ready
is-
for what's fucking coming if the Texans win or cover. You better
I think
fucking
this
get
is
ready.
like the worst game of the whole weekend. I like.
Yeah,
That's why it's on at 3:30 on
This
Saturday.
is not the
Right.
worst
it's
game
on
of
at
the weekend.
3:30
It's why
on a
it's
Saturday.
why it's here.
So
It's probably going to be close. It's going to be close.
It'll be a somewhat good game. We haven't talked enough about the Chargers. The Texans, for what they've been able to do this year, it's very like they've good job. You've lost a lot of players.
You've
gotten
survived.
here. You've survived in a bad division. Good job. Kudos to D'Amico Ryans, CJ Stroud. You're gonna have to get better for next year. Stop the podcast during the season. Figure that one out. But the Chargers and the defense that they have in the players that they've been able to bring and bounce back this season compared to previous seasons where they're consistently injured, and J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards coming slightly off of injuries, but J.K. Dobbins is expected to play in this game. You got Lad McConkey back after having a
Oh,
fantastic week.
Don't
in
forget
week
about the
18.
secret weapon. Secret weapon, Zeke Elliott.
They do have Zeke on the practice squad. He will not be activated for this game. You've got Quentin Johnson, who has erupted this season. I think he had 13 receptions in his last game for 186 yards in week 18. Offensively,
Nice.
Justin Herbert, who is not as qualified as CJ Stroud in the playoffs, has still been able to put things together. And with the defense that the Chargers have and the way that they've prepared and played this season, with the inefficiencies that the Texans have, I don't think that this game ends up anywhere close. I think the 2.5 line isn't big enough.
That's what I'm saying, man.
You
That's
guys are
all I'm
wild.
saying.
You guys are wild. Then fucking buy points. Then buy some more points.
I would.
Put your nuts on the table.
I would if I had money.
I mean, I feel like I'm going to see a somewhat of a defensive battle that's going to high amount of sacks or high amount of QB pressures. Whichever team doesn't convert their pressures into sacks is probably going to suffer in this game. So keep an eye on who has the more effective pass rush, because it's a good show in that sense. But I do think as long as Justin Herbert doesn't get the yips, the Chargers offense is probably going to outperform CJ Stroud and the gang.
I would agree with that and say maybe not Justin Herbert yips, but maybe the rest of the offense. That team is very young for the Chargers, and we've seen them have consistent issues this entire season.
So
with
Quentin Johnson's back to dropping passes, like
back to dropping passes, but they've also had issues with lining up and clock management, and that's not been a coaching issue. I mean, obviously the players not knowing the plays is probably a coaching issue, but also at this point in the season, if you're not knowing what the play is, like that's a you problem.
It's your job
at
to
this
know the
point.
play, bro. It is your job to know the play.
consistent issues being having to utilize timeouts too early in games for the Chargers, especially on the offensive side, because players aren't lining up correctly. Justin Herbert not getting to the line and getting everyone set quickly enough. And that's one of the things that I don't think the Texans have an issue with. And that's where they could make this a game is you've got a little bit better consistency in getting lined up, getting the plays in. CJ Stroud is very good at that. The coaching staff is good at getting the plays in. And it is a home game. So if the Texans fans can actually show out, they rarely do, but if they do, and they can make it a little loud, they could disrupt that Chargers offense that's been having some of those issues, and that's where this could be made a game. I
Justin
don't really
Herbert's
see
used
it.
to playing in Arrowhead at this point, so I don't know if
Also a
that's
good
quite
point.
a factor. But
The biggest thing for this game, though, for me is the Texans' rush defense. Jim Harbaugh does one thing and one thing well. He wants to pound the ball over and over again. So that's what he's going to try to focus on in this game. If they can stop the run for the Chargers, they can stay in this game. If not, Justin Herbert's going to be able to carve them up once they get that running game going, too.
Well, I think that's the key to the playoffs as well. And I mean, we can talk about this as the playoffs continues and everything, but
The power
like
run game.
what you just said, Sean, the power run game. That's what Jim Harbaugh is going to do. That's what he's hung his hat on all year. And just kind of as a coach, right? Well, in the playoffs, everybody in the world knows that. So you're going to have to find a way to either change up how it looks, the looks that you're going to give before you run, or you're going to just have to change what you do and what you hang your hat on and adjust. So I think the team that makes I think not only has changed who they are a little bit as an offense and as a team this week, but also who makes some adjustments at halftime, obviously is going to win the game and everything like that. Because I feel like a lot of times in the playoffs, we're like, oh, this team does this really, really well. And then they like Lamar Jackson. Oh, like, running the ball like last year against you guys. Like Lamar Jackson running, Lamar Jackson running, Lamar Jackson running. They threw the fucking ball all game. Or was it vice versa? Was it the opposite? Either way, doesn't matter. Like, I feel like we expect a lot of things from teams that we've seen all year, and then it changes in the playoffs because those teams are trying to catch the other team off guard. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So I definitely think that's something we have to be aware of as the playoffs get going here.
Speaking of running game, the next matchup, I think,
Let's
be
before we get
fantastic.
there, Sean.
Oh, we're going to pick now?
Let's just go ahead and pick now. We won't do pick them at the end. We'll pick every game as we talk about it. So we've got
Ty Bob goes first.
That's fine. You three nerds decided to tie at 8-8 this week because you picked the same exact games. Nerds. So
hey, I'll be the bigger guy. I'll go second because I'm at the bottom. I'll be the bigger guy. I'll go second.
You want to go first?
No, Ty Bob's going first.
That's what I.
Ty Bob's going
first.
Okay.
Okay. So where do I fall?
Third or fourth, whichever one you want, man. I don't care.
I'll go last. Fuck y'all.
Give me third.
Sean stays in third.
Chargers in Houston taking on the Texans, who are 2.5-point dogs at home. I'm going to take the Chargers.
I, as have made it very clear, will be taking the Texans plus the 2.5.
I was hoping Ty Bob would be swayed to the Texans, but he wasn't. So go ahead and give me the Chargers as well.
Chargers.
Fade and Tommy here. No team
Fade
rides.
Tommy usually works in your guys' favor too. So as we know with the records.